Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the County of Otero, New Mexico special meeting agenda. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Matherly,
Here.
Commissioner Griffin, Commissioner Markort,
Here.
All right. At this time, I'd like to call for a recess for probably about 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll get back into this. Okay? find the agenda. First, I will make a motion for approval of the agenda. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. First item on the agenda will be the Board of County Commissioners will convene in the County Canvassing Board to approve the report of the canvass of the returns of the 2021 regular local election and the issue of certificate of canvass of the results for New Mexico NMSA 1-13-13. Robin, would you like to?
Good morning.
Morning.
Chairman Matherly, members of the commission, I'm just here to ask you to approve and sign our certification for the election. We had let me get this, I have all my papers here. You should have your discrepancy sheet. Okay, basically, these were the problems that we had election day. At Voting Convenience Center 1, we had one fleeing voter, which means that voter received their ballot and they left with it. So that's what made our numbers off between our ballots and the number of ballots issued and the number of ballots that went through the tabulator. Then at La Luz, we had a missing zero tape. When they turned in their results, they did not turn that in. And then in absentee mail, we had 4 provisional ballots. Those 4 provisional ballots were people that were in, they had a medical need. It was after early voting was over, after the time that they could apply for a paper ballot. So they received a provisional ballot so they can vote, and those were all accepted because those people did qualify. We had a 14.56 turnout. Statewide, it was 19.54. So we're a little bit lower than that. We also had an incident that happened at Tularosa. What happened there was we had all the voters vote all day long. They had the zero report. They print out the vote totals. Then we had a new presiding judge there. So we had sent one of our workers to go and assist them close down. Well, our worker, Chris, he has been certified this last year in programming machines. And whenever you go to certify machines, you go through and you run all your test ballots through them, and then once you're through, you zero it out so it's ready to start over. Well, when he went to assist Tularosa, that's what he did. They had all the tape totals printed out, but when he assisted them closing down the machine, he zeroed it out. We didn't realize it at the time. He brought back the memory cards from the 2 machines. We, uploaded those just like we did all the other voting convenience centers. Then we came to find out that they were blank. So then we had to start trying to figure out how could they be blank. And so Selena was on the phone with our vendors, and the only way it could have been was that the machine was zeroed out. After talking to Chris, he said yes, he did, not realizing that that was going to zero out the card, the memory card. The memory card is the way that we upload the information to the Secretary of State's website. So if you'll notice, if you'll look at the statute here, 1-13-8, that's post-election duties, canvass, search for missing returns. If it is necessary to open a ballot box on election night to ascertain if missing election returns are opposed to the ballot box shall be opened by the county clerk and the district judge or someone designated by the district judge in the presence of the district judge or the designated representative of the district judge. The county clerk may remove the missing returns necessary to canvass the election. Okay, that would have been if it was on election night, okay? But because we didn't find out about it until the next day, then okay. Then what it is we had to do the one where we had to get a court order So you should have a copy of your court order, the petition, and the order that went through Judge Schneider. And so what we did at that time was we went to the district court clerk's office because the key was mailed to them, so we had to get that key, and we brought back the gentleman with us. We convened our board, and what they did was they went ahead and reran all those ballots through the machines again. The results came out completely identical, and so we just continued on with it like that. But that was the issue that had happened in Tularosa. That is one of the pros about having paper ballots, is that we have them there. If something like this happens, that there's proof, or if you have to recount them, or once we do any audits, we have them there available.
So you basically totaled the machine, it gave you
The machine was totaled because...
and you got that printout, and then he zeroed it out. So you
Yes.
had the printout
We have
with the
all
numbers.
printouts.
And then you
Would
got the
like to
judge.
see those?
No, I'm just clearing it up.
Okay.
So then you got the judge to approve, because you have to do that to open that box.
Yes.
Correct? And then you hand fed all the ballots back
We
through
had
the
a board
machine,
that did that.
and it counted them exactly the same as the printouts. Okay.
Exactly, yep, they turned
Okay.
out exactly the same. That's one good thing about the tabulators, is they're very reliable as far as running ballots through. They count them very well. So, and you can see that when they're both turned out exactly the same.
Okay.
Pardon,
Yes, sir.
if I may, pardon my ignorance. Do you hand count them? Do you hand count them as well after they're counted by the machine? Do you
We
count?
do-
Do
we
you
do not.
physically count each ballot?
We only do that when we're having audits once, and there will be an audit, when the Secretary of State will determine which machines, which precincts, which races. Then that's the way we do the audit, is
Not
we hand
physically.
tally them, and then we run them through the machine.
Because I'm very ignorant on technology, but if I had a machine, just playing the devil's advocate, if I had a machine set with the way that I wanted that voter turnout to come out, it wouldn't matter how many times you ran those paper ballots through that machine, that the numbers would still come up the same. You know what I mean? That's why I feel like a hand count, physical hand count, is so critical, because I don't trust I don't trust the machines, I don't trust the technology, I don't trust data. I think that all that stuff can be manipulated, so.
Oh, and I understand what you're saying, however, I know you did show up for a portion of our certification.
I did.
And with that certification, those ballots are marked a certain way.
Mhm.
And we run that test deck through the machine. We know exactly what the total should be for each candidate. And we have to get that, and we do get it.
Sure.
Because we know exactly how those ballots are marked.
Sure.
So once we run those through, we run the tape totals, and it should be a certain way for each candidate, and that's what we verify. And that's how we know that that machine did actually count it the way that the ballot was marked. That's
And
the
I
way.
I hate to be so conspiracy-minded, Robin, but I think that those machines they could be manipulated, they could be. That you could certify them, and then who's to say while they're sitting in that storage out there?
Well, while they're sitting in
not-
storage,
I just don't think we can be too careful with
Well,
data
okay.
and digital and machines.
let me explain one more thing about that. After they're certified, they're sealed with a seal that has a number on it, and that seal is marked down, it's sent to the Secretary of State. Everybody has a copy of that number. When our poll workers come in to open the polls on election morning, they verify that that seal number is the seal number that we certified it with. So there's no way anybody's gotten in that machine since we certified it.
Would there be any reason not, or that would disallow you from a hand count, say like in Tularosa? It's a small district, there's not that many votes. You could have-
429 ballots,
How many?
429.
And, you could, just to designate a couple people from your office or from somewhere, I don't know, but if you just had a physical hand count and then match that number up to what the machine counts, and then it just seems like it would be an easy safeguard to put in place, and it wouldn't take that much, but.
Well, and that's, again, something to look at. We just followed the law, and the law told us to.
But we're trusting completely on technology and the machines instead of you know, whenever we run all those ballots through a machine and they all drop down in the bottom of the box and then the machine gives us a number, it would be real easy just to pick those ballots up and hand count them out just to make sure that the numbers match, you know, and then make sure there's no discrepancies on the ballots too, you know. I
Well,
mean,
you know that-
especially with the mail-in ballots and stuff. I mean, you know, we had this conversation the last time in here, like with people signing signatures, and who's to say one person couldn't order 6 or 8 ballots and fill them out and sign them all the same, and you have to be a forensics expert to be looking, trying to identify handwriting and stuff, but
Well, let me just interrupt for a moment. When
Yes.
somebody applies for a ballot,
Uh-huh.
and if it's going to a different location other than the location they're registered to vote on, the system generates a letter. And so the letter is going to be sent to the address they're registered at,
Sure.
and let them know that you have applied for a ballot at this other address.
okay.
And if you have not, then you need to notify
Sure.
us.
But there's instances where there's a lot of ballots that come to the same address too. I mean, I've seen some of that. I mean, not in this county, I'm talking about generally speaking, you know, where you have 20 voters registered at the same address, you know. So if you have 20 voters registered at the same address, who's to say that only one person from that address could request the ballots for the 19 others? You know, I mean, I just think that there's too many, there could be too many places where we could be compromised. And if we can shore some of that stuff up inside the county,
That's what we're trying to do. We have checks and balances for everything.
sure.
I just have one question. On this canvassing, is there any protests on this Tularosa election on the problem with the machine? Is there any kind of formal protest been? Everybody's happy with it.
Right, well, I don't know what there would be to not be happy with. The ballots were fed through the machine, the tabulator, election day, and then the results were printed out. Then when the machine was closed is when the memory card was zeroed out, okay? So when we found that out, we got the court order, got the ballot box open so we could refeed those ballots. We convened another board that came with a member of the district court clerk's office, and they fed the ballots through the machines. They came out identical to the way they had during election day. And we have both tape totals to show you if you'd like to see them, but they're identical, so there shouldn't be anything. The reason that there was a question, I believe, in Tularosa is because originally when we uploaded the cards, we didn't realize they were blank. So it showed that there was another candidate that was ahead of another one. When we finally got that memory card populated and uploaded, then all the votes were in at that point. And honestly speaking, you know, until today, until the canvass, the results are unofficial. And everybody says, you know, in the paper when they're written, these are unofficial results until we can go through all the steps we have to. We can go through all our verifications and make sure everything balances out. Then when we come to the canvass, after they're approved, then they're official totals.
Okay.
So up to this point, they haven't been official.
Okay, 1 second. Ma'am, you have a question for Robin, or?
Well, just in general, this is my first, exposure to any of this. My name's Lindsay Walker. I'm from Tularosa. I am probably the candidate you're speaking about regarding the position 5 in the school board. By the end of Wednesday on your unofficial results, it was showing that I was ahead in the race. Taking that, Friday morning, I was told that there was a difference in the outcome. Now, on Wednesday, whenever I checked the numbers, it did say all precincts were reporting. And so I have a problem, or not necessarily a problem, but I'm just a question as to why it would say all precincts were reporting with one number, and then on Friday when I checked back again, it said all precincts were reporting with a different number, and that going from having won by a slightly considerable amount to losing by a very little amount. I just want to know how that happened.
Because of, like I explained to you, when the memory card from Tularosa from the machines, when it was uploaded, it was blank, and we didn't know that. So then when we started going back, checking our numbers, comparing them, we realized none of those numbers have uploaded from Tula Rosa. So then when Selena read the cards, she said, they're blank, there's nothing on them. That's when she contacted our vendor to say, how could these be blank? And so then at that point, he said, well, they would have had to have been zeroed out. And so we thought, you know, it was uploaded, but there was just nothing on it. So it would report that precinct was in. However, there wasn't anything on it.
Okay.
And so at that point, that's when we realized that.
I do have another question. On your unofficial results online, it does show where you can break down the counts by precinct. So your precinct counts come out 8 shy of what your overall count is. Do you have an explanation for that?
Unless they were the provisional ballots, or we can definitely go over and look through that and see.
Because the overall vote total shows 660 votes. Whenever you go into it and you look under it and it shows its breakdown by precinct, and I even added it together myself, it shows 652 votes. So there is an eight vote difference. It doesn't necessarily sway the outcome either way, but there is a difference there, and you know.
Okay, well, we'll have to look at that because there's no way there could be a difference in for us to balance. So there, it has to be there somewhere. And we can, if you'd like after the meeting, we can go over it and verify it.
Okay. I did, you know, I don't know whether it's here or there, but there are screenshots that I've taken of, you know, everything to show that, you know, this is, you know, what I'm seeing versus what's being presented, or, you know, it's this view versus this view. I know, you know, you have your way of doing things and your checks and balances and stuff. But I'd like to know how all of this, you know, kind of pans out. Because, you know, at the end of one day, it shows that in my race that I was winning, and by the end of the next day, people are coming to me and telling me you didn't win, and this race has not been.
And I apologize to you for that, but that is the reason, like we do,
Right.
we have all these checks and balances, and it will take us some time.
Mhm.
You know, it just doesn't happen overnight, and that's, I apologize, because that's, you know, when it affects candidates like that, we don't like that. But, I mean, we, you know, we hire all of these workers, and praise the Lord, we have all these election workers, because it's so hard to get workers. But to train them and to have them do these duties, you know, things happen at the polling locations we have no control over. We have 16 of them on election day, but we can't be at each one of them. So that's the thing, we have to trust our poll workers that we've trained them well, that they follow our, you know, what we've taught them. So sometimes something happens and it just doesn't work that well. So, again, I apologize, but I would be happy to take you over there, we can go over after this meeting.
Robin, would it be an option if like in this particular 650 votes, you said? 650. Would it be possible before we certify this particular race right here, to hand count those ballots, just to see if they match up with the...
We cannot open the ballot boxes again without a court order
Well, that's all right.
and a representative.
I bet we could get one. What's that, Amy?
I just have a question. I think the margin for a recount is 1.5%. So this is an average shows 33% versus 35%. Is it actually, could it actually be less than 1.5% on here to actually spur a recount? Because the voting number is different, and is it of the total 660, or is it the margin of the two highest vote candidates? What is the 1.5% that triggers a recount?
I think it is the two highest.
Okay, so at 33% and 35%, we
That would
say
be-
2%, but it may not be 2%.
Right.
Right. So it may be an
It may
automatic.
be what, we can't just go and open ballot boxes. We don't even have keys. We have one key and district court has the other keys to all of our ballot boxes till after the canvases are done. For 45 days, we can't open those boxes. And basically,
You know, when it
actually,
comes to the concern though, of the security of our elections, you know, I mean, and as we as county commissioners, as you as a clerk, you would think that we would have some kind of say as far as to say, well, you know, we as a local board feel like there's some things we need to look at, and we're so bound by state law, we couldn't do anything inside the county to just count the ballots. in the
Well,
box.
but we feel like we've done everything. We've certified the machines. We believe that they are counting the ballots as they're certified. We do all
But if we
this.
talk about checks and balances, that's a great check and balance to have. Just physically count the paper ballots that are resting inside of the machine, that machine is telling us how many ballots are in there, and we're just supposed to, I just
Well, you know,
think
human
that
error
what-
is the worst as far as
Yeah,
counting.
but if it matches the number, you count them 4 or 5 times, there's only 660 ballots, you know, I mean, if the number
But
matches.
there's several races on each ballot.
Okay, all right, well, I guess just whatever then, I guess we just put it all in the hands of Dominion and the state of New Mexico and just take their, whatever I mean, I'm kind of being sarcastic, but, you know, I mean, I'm just trying, Robin,
No, and I
to
understand,
encourage you to
Commissioner
maybe
Griffin,
give
I do.
our constituents just a little bit more security that our elections aren't messed with, and what's counting the ballots?
Well, it's against the law at this point. I don't have the power to touch the ballots myself. Those ballots are taken care of by poll workers. Me and my staff, we have nothing to do with the ballots. The only way we can open the boxes is with court orders, and we don't have the authority to go in and count ballots. There's nothing in the law that gives us that authority. I mean, even if we wanted to.
So there's a discrepancy of 8 votes.
Well, that's
Okay,
what she...
hang on.
Uh-huh.
But with her 8 votes, she had 218, the other one, the winning voter had 231, which would bring that to 226, which is still 5 short. But is that, again, are they right in the machine? I mean, I tell by the look on your face that but
Well, no, the
8
deal
is 8
is-
votes. There's 8,
Right, but see, there's other things that are involved in that as far as that. You know, we had 3 military ballots that were hand tallied. We had 2 other ballots that were hand tallied. That's 5 right there. Now, if those were voting for one of those races in Tularosa, that would account for the 5 right there. But I don't know, you know, just because you guys just hit me with this right now, we're going to have to go back and go through and look and find out where it is. I feel confident that it's there. I just can't tell you right now off the top of my head because this is the first I've heard of it.
so, okay, you already had problems with the machines in Tularosa.
We didn't have any problems with the machines.
You came back with a blank,
We had a
card.
problem with one of the voter, or one of the workers that zeroed out the card, but there were no problems, it was just a zeroed out card. The machines worked fine, the ballots were reread through the same machines, and they came out identical, so there were no
There
problems.
was a problem with your processes and procedures. There
It
was a problem with, there
it was
was
an
a
error.
problem. It wasn't like there was no problem. You came back with the
But
blank
not
card.
with the
as Darrell
machines,
mentioned.
not with the machines the problem was, it was with the worker.
okay, there had to have been a problem with the machine or he wouldn't have been out there working on the machine.
He wasn't there working on the machine. He was there assisting the new presiding judge, because we had to put a presiding judge there that had never been a presiding judge because our other one quit. So he went out to assist him with closing the polls.
It was just they were processing the machine, but they didn't follow
They didn't follow,
the procedures
right.
that are put in place, and
You're
those
right.
procedures that are put in place are to guarantee a safe and secure election, and they
Right.
weren't followed in that case.
You're absolutely right. Those procedures weren't followed.
But you do have a check and balance for that, obviously, because
Absolutely.
it worked out the way it was supposed to.
Exactly, and we have proof of it.
I know from experience, and you know too, when a person runs for an election, they spend a lot of time, a lot of effort, a
Absolutely.
lot of money, and I'm sure that this lady right here wants to know in her heart that she was honestly beat.
Absolutely. And I'll be happy to take her and show her, you know, what we have to show why we're off the numbers with her.
So if we verify these, canvass these today, and we approve them, and you show her and you find a mistake and she's not, then what are you gonna do?
Well, she said there's a difference between 8 is what she's showing, but she lost by more than 8.
I understand
So it
that.
wouldn't make any difference anyway.
Yeah, you don't know how many you're gonna find. You know, it wouldn't make any difference anyways. Well, you know, there might be more if there's 8 discrepancies, there could be more discrepancies too, though, couldn't it? I mean,
But from what we have uploaded on the memory cards, and we compare it with the tapes that are printed out, with the tally sheets, it all balances. So there's not a discrepancy.
Somewhere there is of 8.
Well, and that's her, I don't know, again, like I said, I don't know if she's not counting our provisional ballots, is she not counting our hand tallies? I don't know, because I don't know how she did it. So I can't speak for what she did. I know what we did, we balanced, so.
I did the math, and it's 1.06% difference. So if you guys vote on the canvas, and then we do that automatic recount, and it comes out different, what happens then?
This is the only tally, hand tally, everything else from the machine. Here. This is part of our millage, and the rest of them are the machine. They don't want to.
So there's 3 from Tularosa.
That were hand tally.
So Robin, when do we have to have these canvassed by?
We have to have them this week by Friday.
I
So-
don't think we have to have anything, you know.
Well,
I mean,
if we don't,
we
it'll
have
just
to
go to
honor,
the
we have
Supreme
to
Court, and
honor,
they'll go ahead and do the canvass.
we have to honor our oaths. That's what I have to do, and if I feel like there might be more attention needing to be given to something like as important as an election, then my vote's gonna be, let's give more attention to something as important as election, and all the state mandates and state laws and deadlines, and we gotta do it by this, that's the way they just control us from the top. You know, and we're supposed to be a government for the people, by the people, not for the state, by the state. You know?
So we have an attorney here, how long would it take to get a court order to do this?
The court order we could get in a few hours.
Robin, how long would it take you to settle this issue? If we
I
have a court
don't,
order?
the thing is that there's nothing in the law that allows us to hand tally ballots. The only time it can be done is if it, like Amy said, you know, if it's required because they're so close, or if somebody pays for it, they file through district court to get the ballots hand tallied, and usually it's a candidate. I can't just ask the court to allow me to count the ballots.
Okay, we have an issue with numbers that are not, whether it's clear in your mind or it's not clear in her mind. We have the percentage. We had issues with those machines in Tularosa. I don't understand why we can't get it settled. It's for her,
Okay, what
her
do you-
sake of mine right there.
No, and absolutely we will, and I will absolutely go over there and we'll go through everything with her. But, what exactly do you want me to do?
I just want to verify that it's right. Okay, she's saying there's 8. You ought to be able to find those 8 real easy. Whether it's your provisionals, whether it's mail-in, whatever. That should be 8 voters is 8 voters,
Right,
or 8 ballots.
right.
So figure out where it's at. I mean, if I was sitting right there and it was that close on me, 8 voters won't, if everything is right like it says right here, 8 voters is not going to make a difference. She's still going to lose. But she's going to have it in her heart that she knew that she, and it wasn't something wrong. You got machines that came in with blank cards. You got too many things going on with Tularosa, and then you have one person sitting here wanting to know why.
Absolutely, and I told her as soon as this was over, we would go over and find out why.
But if we canvass these things right now, and you go over there and you find something, which you can't open unless we get a court order, tell me, if we canvass it, it's set in stone, right?
No, no, no. If some, you know, like Amy said, if it's that close, they're gonna require us to have a recount.
So who does that?
A board does that. We
Well-
put a board together, and it will be done in front of everybody. Anybody can come and watch it. We've had recounts many times
And then you
before.
just run the ballots back through the
They'll
machine
run them through the
again?
machine, and they'll hand tally them as well.
Okay, they'll hand tally them, and then they'll match the numbers between the machine and the hand tally. That, yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's,
So you
This
take,
is not set in stone. If something were to come up, or if somebody, there could still be a candidate that files in district court and wants to have certain precincts, you know, redone, recounted, they can still do that as well. So, I mean, this is just our canvas to finish the county. Then at that point, then we will do any kind of required recounts, any of that. We'll do that at that point, and if something changes, then it changes. You know, it'll change in the numbers. This is just protocol. We've got to approve the canvas on this week between Monday and Friday. And then at that point, it goes to the Secretary of State's office. Or if anybody, if they require for us to do a recount, then we'll put that together and do that as well.
can you show her the numbers today
Absolutely.
and get that taken care of?
Yeah, of course, we'll go back to the office right after we leave here, and we'll go figure it out.
you know, the rule is, as far as state law goes, and as far as I understand, you know, like the commission board can strengthen a law or strengthen a mandate or something. We can't necessarily loosen it or weaken it, but why wouldn't our election laws, if we felt that a hand count was really gonna further secure our electorate here, it would be more of a safeguard that the county would put into place, if that makes sense. So why wouldn't we be able to stiffen up our side? You know, I know we can't loosen it, but
It would be possible to do that unless something in the election handbook precludes hand counting prior to the canvass or certain procedures being triggered. If there's nothing that says it can't be done,
can't be done.
then
Then we could
that's
do it.
something that we could look into adding. I don't know off the top of my head what it says. Robin may be able to weigh in on the exact procedures if there is something that precludes that already that she knows of.
There's nothing in there that I'm aware of. Of course, there's several statutes, so, you know, could be addressed in one and not another, but
sure.
I'm not aware of any of that.
I just want to speak on behalf of voters.
Yes.
Right now, after the November election, you know, everybody is afraid that their vote isn't counted.
Yep.
And my biggest fear is that come next year's election, that people just won't vote because they don't think their vote has value. And I think that a little bit of transparency to our Otero County voters would be very well intended right now. Telling them, we have this error, we verified with these two tapes, it sounds legitimate, but we're just gonna double check and triple check and let's just ease the voters and make them feel comfortable, and they'll show up to vote hopefully in June.
Yeah, I agree. And because I mean, I talk to a lot of people in politics, and I'm hearing that a lot about a lot of people that are like, I'm never voting again, you know, but they're saying that because they see everything on the national stage. But if we could give them a lot of security inside our local electorate, then
That's what we try to do, and that's why I try to always invite people to come and see what our processes are, all of our checks and balances, so people feel confident that what we are doing is working, is there's no fraud involved.
So I'm gonna ask you one more time. To my little mind, understand, if we vote to canvass these, we can still get her issue clarified.
Absolutely.
You good,
so
you good with that?
what if there's some, yeah, there's big discrepancies. When we canvass and certify, we'll vote to certify today as well, correct? We'll canvass.
That's all
and
that you do is certify it for you, yeah.
Okay, well, but if we certify her race and then come to find out,
Then it'll be an amendment. It
then
would be, it
we
would
would
just
have
be an
to, we
amendment.
would have to reconvene and amend the certification.
Mhm, They would just amend it.
Any other questions?
No, sir. Any other input from y'all? Y'all have anything else? And we can call it the question here.
Yeah, I was gonna-
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just, we just want to do, we're just like you, we want to do our best, you know, and
Would it be worth it for you to go now and get this straightened out, and we could move on to the next agenda item, and we could table this one until, I mean, do you
If
think it's
that's
gonna
what
take
you'd
that
like.
long, just so everybody feels more comfortable, and
You know what,
then,
if that's what you'd like, we can.
how about we do that?
Okay.
Just have everybody feel at ease?
How long will it take you?
Who knows? We gotta go through all these numbers. I can't give you a.
Who's
certain
paying for
time.
lunch? That's all I wanna know.
Here it is.
I think that I would feel good if we could do that.
Okay, we'll go over and do that. Is that in a motion or
We don't need a motion for that.
No.
a table?
Okay.
All right, we'll be back.
Try not to go to lunch first.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm kinda hungry. I didn't have breakfast. Okay, will you come with us then and we'll go with?
If we figure this out, I'll buy everybody one.
That's recorded, right?
Yeah.
Some sueños?
All right, so that's gonna bring us down to agenda item 2. Well, first, we're gonna table, item 1 until county clerk has certified through the numbers and checked. So we'll go to item 2. I got more stuff. Request approval of the third amendment to the forbearance agreement. Pamela, you want to explain this?
As you know, we've already done a couple of amendments to extend this forbearance agreement while we negotiate with ICE. We're close to negotiating with ICE and getting a guaranteed bed rate, but as you know, the federal government is not quick, so it's taking its time. This will extend the current agreement we have in place until we can finalize those negotiations. Once we get a new agreement with ICE, the terms that were in this forbearance agreement will go back to the original terms. County will no longer take a cut, the bondholders will no longer take a cut. They're gonna give us a guaranteed bed rate so that whether they fill those beds or not, we still get paid.
I'm trying to remember, this is a yearly contract renewal, or is it every 2 years?
This forbearance agreement was a one-time thing.
One time?
It's never occurred before. We did it this one time. Everybody to take a cut until we can negotiate. As you remember, with the new administration, bed numbers dropped. We weren't detaining as many people, and everybody was losing money. And that's why we did this forbearance agreement.
Okay, so it was a year ago, we went through all of this whenever they had
It was.
they were not going to renew because the numbers were so low and they wasn't making any money, they were
Yeah,
going
that's
to,
when MTC said they would have to pull out if we couldn't find a solution, and that was the forbearance agreement that helped them stay afloat.
so this is just gonna be an amendment to their contract period.
To the forbearance agreement, yes.
Okay. Yeah, we just-
Mm-mm.
And we have seen the bed numbers go up.
They are going
Good.
up.
Yes,
So we're getting paid per bed, not per inmate.
we get paid per bed,
Bed.
per inmate, per
Okay.
day.
All right, well, I'll make a motion for the request approval of the third amendment for the variance agreement. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So at this time, we'll take a recess till, did that mean we can leave, or do we have to, what do we do
You
here?
didn't tell her what time time to come back, so I guess you kinda gotta stick around and wait.
You're kidding me.
Well, you didn't give her a time to come back. You wanna give
Those
me a
didn't-
time, and I'll call her and tell her to come back at 1 o'clock, or I don't know.
2 o'clock, whatever.
And then we can reconvene then,
Yeah, I guess that's fine.
give her a couple of hours.
Yeah,
So 1, 2 o'clock, what time?
well, it's only 11, so 1 o'clock should be fine.
Okay. Okay, I'll let her know.
Change
There
this
you go.
change.
I need a tall person.
Those Dominion machines look like trash dumpsters too, whenever they got the lids on them. They look like big black garbage cans.
Are we off record?
No.
Yeah, so we're gonna take a recess
Recess, yeah.
until 1 o'clock.
Would you mind letting Robin know?
Sure.
She's not here.
Right over.
Okay.
So we
And then let her come back
You good? All right, we're back here back to item 1 on the agenda. I'll make a motion for approval of item 1. The Board of County Commissioners will convene as the County Canvassing Board to approve the report of the canvass of the returns of the 2021 regular local elections and issue a certificate of canvass of the results per NMSA 1-13-13. Can I get a second on that? Or do you want to go ahead and pick?
Yeah, let me, y'all, let's just have a little bit of discussion on it before we approve it, Gerald. Y'all went over and you showed her everything on the deal, Robert?
Yes, what we did was we went over and Selena and Denise secured all of the tape totals from everybody that voted for Lindsay, early voting, election day, and she tallied all those up. The canvas that we presented to you earlier today, the numbers are identical. The numbers are identical from the tape tabs to the canvas that we presented. The numbers that Lindsay was talking about were the numbers that the Secretary of State has on their website. We contacted Mandy, who is in charge of the Bureau of Elections there, and she, of course, needed some time to talk to IT and figure out why they were off. The problem is that everything is entered as far as precinct parts. So, you know, you might live in, say, precinct 12, but there's precinct 12.1, .2, .3, and each one of those parts has a different, something different about it. Whether it's a school district, a city district, you know, something is different. What they are speculating is that they have left out a precinct part in that one where we did where they added up the votes by precinct and they were 8 less. They're thinking that they left out a precinct part. So they're going to have to go through all of that and check it. And it's not something that will happen very quickly. But as Mandy reminded us all, and we did have our council present as well, that the results that we presented to you through service, through the tape totals, those are the official results. What is on their website is unofficial, and it's just, you know, it's basically just for the public. It's just something that they, you know, so we can see things. But it's not official. So that's basically it. Our numbers are correct. They were correct when we were here earlier, and those are the ones from service. And they are looking into the reason they're not correct on the website at this point.
I talked to her out in the parking lot, and she said that you would be notifying her soon, whenever the Secretary of State got back with you, or whoever, Mandy or whoever. So
she was there right until, and Mandy was going to call back in 5 minutes, and she waited, and it was like 5 minutes, and she left, and then Mandy called. So yes, but she actually did give a talk to Nicole from the paper, and because she said, well, how do you feel about this? And she told Nicole that, you know, she felt like that the numbers were right and everything was correct now, and she was happy to be able to go over and, you know, add it up for herself and see. So you'll read about that in the paper.
But you will call her, Lindsay?
Absolutely. Selena has her number. She
Okay.
took it down from her.
Were you contacted by any other candidates or anybody that had any concerns or anything about the election?
No.
Okay. Well, I haven't.
Good.
Good.
There was, and before we vote on it, there's just maybe before our next election, maybe we can kind of define some of the perimeters and stuff, because we had discussion about how there might have been people that were inside the 100 feet from the entrance to the, I mean, we just want to make sure there's no
Well, you know what?
intimidation or
Right.
everybody's following the
And
rules.
Commissioner Griffin, we do, whenever we are told, and we, you know, they call us right away, and we actually have string that's in all of the ballot boxes at the location that's 100 feet, so they can
Okay.
measure it out.
Sure.
They do that. If there's still an issue, then we will send out Selena, in fact, if you're talking about the fairgrounds, Selena was sent out there.
Yeah.
She measured it because we did have that person campaigning.
Yeah.
And then we had the other person giving out pens.
Sure.
And, but they were well within, you know, and I know that the fairgrounds, they were opposed to having people inside the gate because they said they felt like that represented what, you know, they
Yeah.
are. And what I explained to them is that whenever somebody uses your facility, I mean, I know there've been different party events that have been there, whether it's Democrat Party, Republican Party,
Sure.
you know, because they're using the facility for the day or whatever it is. So I kind of felt like that's what it was with us. And what dictates what we do is the law, and the law says you have to be 100 feet from the entrance, whether that's inside the gate or not.
Yeah.
And it happened to be inside the gate, so they weren't very happy with us. But we didn't have anything else, you know.
Sure.
So, but other than that, we didn't really have any other issues.
Everything went smooth?
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, can I get a second on that?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
If I could just have you guys
All
ready.
right, you betcha.
Ready, yeah.
Let's eat.
Make a motion for adjournment?
Can I just say one thing before we adjourn? It's not, you guys can go if you want, because I know you're starving to death.
You can tell, right?
I just know that normally we would have this meeting on Thursday, and that would have been Veterans Day. And so this will be our meeting prior to Veterans. I just want to say something to our veterans out there. And I found a lot of poems to read, and I couldn't make it through any of them without bawling, so I found this one. I made it through it twice without crying, so I just want to read it real quick. It's real short. It is the veteran, not the preacher, who has given us freedom of religion. It is the veteran, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the veteran, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the veteran, not the campus organizer, who has given us freedom to assemble. It is the veteran, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial. It is the veteran, not the politician, who has given us the right to vote. So I'd just like to say, God bless all of our veterans, and God bless America. That's it.
Thank you. And everybody realizes Thursday's a holiday, but our regular commission meeting is next Thursday, the 18th.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't
It is.
realize that. I saw where you put that in that one email, and I thought, second Thursday, but I didn't realize, so it's, what, oh, is it Thanksgiving?
It's
Oh. Is it Thanksgiving? No.
this Thursday's Veterans Day. Do we need to adjourn? Do we need to adjourn?
Yes, I adjourned it, but nobody listened to me. Okay, I'll make a motion for adjournment.
I second it.